Alrighty guys, doing a brake job, rear brakes on a 2016 Jeep Cherokee. This is actually technically the newest one I've done as far as Jeep. It's got the electronic e-brake, so you got to go inside into the radio and retract the electronic brakes. I've seen some videos where you can do it right from the motor in the back, hook a live and just retract them yourself. But this one was pretty easy. Found it right in the radio right away. She didn't want the calipers replaced, but that's fine. And then you need these Jeeps, apparently. You gotta have this special tool because the piston turns back in. It doesn't, you can't push it back in, so it turns back in. And you'll need 10mm and a T55 Torx bit for your bracket bolts. She also had a little bit of uneven wear. This one is, I mean, it's not froze, but it's stuck. Another good thing, if you guys are replacing your own brakes, even if you have brand new bracket, brand new slides, always grease them before you put them in. And whenever you replace pads or rotors or anything, grease those. Otherwise they start to stick like this. Now I'm going to have to pop it out, clean it up a little bit, re-grease it, get it sliding real good, and get her back in. So I'm going to keep working on this. This is the first side I tried. This is the bad side. She was having a lot of grinding, so I'm going to get this finished up real quick, pop onto the other side. Hopefully the other side's easier than this one, because even the calipers a little stuck. I got it broke loose now, so hopefully it'll be fine. But it was fully extended all the way out. The brake pads were literally gone. So we'll see. And all the little hardware, don't forget, replace your hardware right away. Don't use the old stuff, even though it's a pain in the butt. And clean the crap out of this when this, you got it all apart with a wire wheel, even a file, so that these fit in there right, because they're still corroded, they still got rust. Clean them up really good. So I'm going to get back to this. I'll just do a finish follow-up video after this. It is a simple job, it's just time consuming, and then you got to make sure you have the right tools. I mean, you could do this with needle nose pliers or something, but it would be a nightmare. So, alrighty guys, get back into it. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the rust in here. I already hit this with a wire wheel, and you can still see all the crusty crap. This side I hit with a file also and got the scale off. And this one will fit just fine. This one still needs a good cleaning. And all you need is a good flat file. I was using my square bit file. And then wire wheel, a little bit of lube in there, pop your new bracket or your new stuff in, and your brakes will slide just fine. So I'm going to get back into finishing this up. New hardware and paint pads are in. This isn't always easy because you got to be able to push down on the tabs and try to get this locked in, and then there's push pins from the back sides too, so it's just like a stretching game. It's not always easy, but I'm telling you what, if you don't clean the bracket up good enough and you got a lot of scale in there, you are not getting them in. So that's in. Caliper is retracted, and the slides are sliding just fine now. Clean them up, lube them up. They're doing their job. So I'm going to get this one back together, get this one all done, and hop onto the other side. The first side always takes the longest because you're just trying to figure out what tools. Everything's a little different. This is my first one having to use it. No, Dart was the same way. Torx bit for the rear brakes. But this was my first electronic brake, which was easy actually, so I'm gonna get this one together and we'll see what happens.
What does it mean to be rich?
Alright, it's all back together. Another good thing to point out, your bracket bolts, especially the brackets, those bolts, always put Loctite on those. It's just a good rule of thumb. A little bit of Loctite goes a long ways. This particular vehicle was in my garage a couple weeks ago because the brake was rubbing and grinding really bad in the front. Oh, it turned out the guy did the front wheel bearing on this, and he didn't get anything tight enough, so the brake caliper bracket came off, one bolt came out, and the whole thing flipped and was rubbing on the rim. We always put a little bit of Loctite on your brake hardware, and especially wheel bearing bolts. Always do that. It was in here for, I don't know, it was here for 10 minutes. I put a new bolt in, it was good to go. But just a little bit, and I had to go through and tighten up all the wheel bearing bolts because they weren't tight enough. The bracket bolts, they weren't tight enough. So, good rule of thumb, especially if you're not strong enough to get these tight enough, use Loctite. So, alright, that's a good rule of thumb. So, it's all Loctited up, it's ready to roll. Gotta throw the tire back on. I'm gonna clean this up a bit. The wire wheel, I'm not gonna show none of that. But everything's back together, everything's tight, brackets on. I gotta do the other side real quick. That side's gonna go a lot faster because I'm not gonna video, and I'm not gonna, well, I got all my tools ready. I already know what I need. So just gonna get at it. That other side will probably take 20 minutes. This one took about 40 with the videoing and stopping and finding tools and everything. So I'm gonna get at that. Well, Todd's supposed to be coming later to dink with that snowblower for his coach. If he doesn't, I'm just gonna have to get it done because coach is wondering when it's gonna be done. So hope you guys can kind of learn something from this, or just general practice. I mean, it doesn't take much to do this yourselves. Figure out which vehicle you have, figure out which kind of brakes you got, whether you need Torx bits. The hardware part takes some getting used to. Just make sure everything's really clean. And then, yeah, if you got the screw-in style, you're going to need a kit like this. It's pretty universal. I mean, the one that I had to use on this one didn't work. I mean, it worked, but it wasn't right. So, just a good rule of thumb. So there you go. Brakes on a 2016 Jeep. I'm going to get them done, and hopefully we're back in here for a snowblower and some other stuff with the three-wheeler and go-kart and whatnot we got to get fixed. So, alrighty guys, have a good one. We'll see y'all later.